Welcome to episode 288 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and Jill McKinley is back on the show. How you doing, Jill?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Yeah, always great having you. And also great having him as well, Jeff Gamet. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well, and it's always a happy, fun surprise when I show up, and Jill's here.
Oh.
And yes, exactly. And Ben unfortunately couldn't make it this week, but we'll be thinking about him in spirit. So, because we do have a lot to talk about, including CES, a little bit of CES anyway, because it's about to end tomorrow. But for us podcasters and press, it ended today, basically, or probably yesterday, because most of the work is done from Sunday through Tuesday at the very least, but Wednesday it's usually got stuff as well. So we'll have that, and we'll have lots of other things to talk about in the topics, including Vision Pro, which we'll talk about just one minute here. Let's go right to the topics. Like I said last week, our format's changing a little bit. We're going to do topics, and then we'll bring up the news towards the end of the show here. So this week, beta iOS 17.3 beta 3 was released this week. They skipped 2 because it had a bug. So
whoops.
Yeah, whoops. So they moved right to beta 3. And there really hasn't been much else activity on this. They've added of course, the stolen device protection feature. We're anxiously waiting to have that in the production version. 17.3's got to be out here sooner or later. And the other thing with requiring a verification code and a 1-hour delay to access this stuff with the secure device program there, as well as we talked about music playlists. So pretty much everything we've been talking about. I don't think we really have noticed much else. I haven't been really active looking at it as of late with iOS 17.3. I don't know if you've seen anything on your iPad, Jeff, with the beta. Did you even do it yet? Because 2 was skipped.
Yeah, I haven't installed beta 3 yet. With what was going on with beta 2,
yeah.
Even though it's my sacrificial iPad, I decided I wasn't quite ready to risk the sacrifice yet.
Yeah. So I know, Jill, you've smarted up and you're not putting beta on your devices.
I reformed my terrible ways and got out of the beta program, but I was thinking about it, and then I saw what happened to 2, and then I'm like, no, you're good.
Yeah. So,
but I'm excited for it.
Yeah. WatchOS 10.3 was released, as well as tvOS. Nothing really big there. But the question is, when is 17.3 really going to be released? Usually in past history with Apple, you've seen that they would probably release it probably around January timeframe. So they're thinking potentially maybe towards the end of this month as we record here in January. But what do you guys think? You think they got a few more betas? They may have to do a few more betas only because of what happened in beta 2, that they moved right to beta 3, right?
It feels like this change is significant, and that there would be a lot of places where if you screwed this up, it could cause some real harm to somebody. Yeah. And so I feel this will be a little bit longer than most, because if you start messing with how people authenticate, you have to be careful.
Oh, for sure. I see that in the enterprise world too. You can't, like, messing with VPN. You can't mess with that because it's going to be a nightmare, as well as people not being able to access things. So you don't want that to happen. But this is important. This has been a big problem for a while. So, we'll see where it goes here. We'll keep talking about it here. So,
I'll give you my prediction on release date.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, I'll do it as a window after January 19th.
Okay. So that'll be a week away from as we record here.
Yeah.
So definitely it's going to be interesting. So like we mentioned, we're going to talk about CES a little later. But Apple decided to interrupt CES, and on the first day, it decided to announce that the Vision Pro is going on sale on February 2nd for that really reasonably priced of $34.99. They're going to pre-order the headset January 19th. And if you've been waiting to get one of these, yeah, this is what can I say? It's going to be crazy expensive. I mean, but you know what? Just like anything with Apple, you know that there's going to be people breaking down the doors to pre-order one of these things, and they're going to probably be sold out, and you know, there'll be demand for something that's terribly expensive. We've talked about what the device can do and what where it's at. It's a new technology. Jeff, what's your thoughts on this with Vision Pro? I mean, you think Apple's going to sell out? I think they are.
I think they are. I think that they have a pretty good idea how many they need to make, and which is different from how many they potentially could make. And
yep.
I think that depending on that initial demand, that will determine how quickly they ramp up production, and or if they ramp it up at all. So they might just keep it at a steady level.
Yeah.
Through the year. By the way, this ties in directly to my prediction of after January 19th for the iOS 17.3 release.
That's true.
Because Vision Pro features in iOS get them in the operating system release after people can start buying the device, but before it actually ships.
Yep. Well, I mean, of course, you have to have rumors of how many devices are going to be made. Ming Chu Ko is always known to be giving us what the inside word is, and article here in MacRumors that Apple is planning he says to produce between 60 and 80,000 Vision Pro units for the February 2nd launch. With the small size of that shipment, he believes the Vision Pro will sell out as soon as the release. So, yeah, I mean, again, rumors, we don't know. Are they going to make more than 400,000 units? I don't know. I just don't know what the price point is. This is Heather, I mean, other than the beginnings of the novelty of it all, and people can drop $3,500 on this device. I don't know where it's gonna go. I mean, it could be a flop too. You know, we don't know.
It could be a flop. I mean, Apple is doing something that's for any company is very scary, and they are creating a whole new space. They've had good luck with this in the past. Look at the iPhone. Look at the iPod. So both new platforms, and now we're going to see what happens with Vision Pro. Yeah, it costs a lot of money, but at the same time, for what it is and where we are in this type of product, it's probably priced appropriately, even though it's more money than most people are going to want to spend, which is okay, because now it also limits how many people will try and buy one. And so 400,000, 500,000 units for the year, that's probably plenty to make because of who's going to be able to get one. I would love to get one.
Oh, me too, but not my budget
to do that. Yeah, and I'd have to get prescription lenses for it. I do have a couple people, friends that I know. Wow. I have a couple friends that I know are either buying on launch day or are like they're this close. For those of you listening, within an inch of committing to buying on launch day.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if they're going to create this very expensive thing and have all the people who are very excited about it, have a lot of money, don't care about it as much, and then immediately turn around and start kicking off number 2. A lower price point, you know, now that we've learned this and we've seen what people will do with it, now let's go for the next version. Instead of producing a lot of these, it's almost like a weird beta test. Maybe in my mind, that's how I imagine it.
Well, Jill, you just hit exactly what Apple's MO is for new products. They start at the high end, and then they have a point that they consider their saturation point. Then they bring out a model that might not have as many features. It's designed so it can cost less.
Yeah.
Then they saturate for whatever their saturation point is for that space, and they keep working down. And you can see that with for more recent products, iPhone, iPad, iPod, they HomePod. They just, that's what they do. So yeah, I think you can change that from saying I think to this is, and your statement is still totally solid.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at those next ones though. I mean, I'm, depending on what they cost. I'm excited. I have an Oculus and I have the glasses inside. I love that thing, and I'm excited to see what this could do more for the productivity side than the gaming side.
Yeah. Well, let's touch upon it. Like you touched upon the glasses. You are going to have to spend an extra $99 if you want readers. So for those who don't have glasses but need readers to view, you cannot use your own glasses. They will not work. And then if you get prescription lenses, it's going to cost you $149. The inserts are only going to be available to be purchased online, so you won't expect to wander in an Apple store to pick those up. And you got to get a prescription as well. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see where that goes. The base storage is going to be 256 gigabytes. So that's going to be something that's going to give just basic storage. I mean, it's got 16 gigs of RAM, and likely you're going to probably get up to 1 terabyte of storage availability. But imagine how much more that's going to cost if you add that, because we know Apple's track record in adding extra storage on Macs. So why would it change with the Vision Pro here? So so this is a big product line. This is probably the biggest thing they've probably announced since 2014. And how convenient they announced it just as a press release during CES kickoff, just to get the attention, right? And take the attention away from CES a little bit. Definitely going to be a bigger app store. The arcade's going to have about 250 games that are going to be available. So, gaming is going to be relatively popular with this. With the ability of being able to capture spatial photos, it's going to be big, and videos. It's going to be life-size scale through Vision Pro. Panoramas will be able to wrap around you. So I'm excited to see this in the wild now and be able to see where this is, because nobody's ever hasn't, other than internal, hasn't seen this as of yet. So it's definitely going to be interesting where this goes. The Apple Store will actually have what's called a face scan to determine the actual Pro size for you. So when you go into a store, there's some information that's out there saying with some code that was actually submitted on the MacRumors reported this, that they've been using a head measure and fit app to help developers actually test the Vision Pro for the correct size. So the Vision Pro is going to ship with both a solo knit band and a dual loop band, which the latter has a second strap that goes over the head to give even more distributed weight. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how much this thing actually weighs. It looks like a pretty solid device, don't you think? Don't you guys think? That's pretty solid. Just from visual.
I wear the Oculus, and it looks smaller than that. I mean, I think it might be lighter than it. So you do offload some of the weight on top of your head and with other types of bands, and I don't think you're going to be running around. I think you're going to sit there and you're going to be throwing screens all over the place, and it might require less activity. So even if it was a little bit heavier, it's not like an Oculus where you're gaming, you're just sitting,
Yeah. Other interesting information, the fact of what the Vision Pro and the Mac will be able to can and cannot do. So they do say that the Mac and the Vision Pro can create a virtual desktop. So when it comes to the Mac, the keystroke feature of the Apple Vision Pro will give you something called Mac Virtual Display. It uses AirPlay 2, allows you to connect to your Mac wirelessly and then have the full headset looking at your computer through the Vision Pro. According to Apple, this allows you to resize a virtual representation of your Mac's display anywhere in the space. So they were demonstrating that. I mean, this is of all the things is going to be kind of freaky. We all use Macs here, as most of our audience does too here, and that's going to be an interesting thing to actually doing computing on a Mac using your Vision Pro as opposed to a monitor. Huh? What do you guys think on that?
That's very compelling to me.
Oh, yeah, because you spend a lot of time on your Mac
that's
being a writer. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've got a 34-inch wide curved display in front of me right now.
Yep.
And the idea of being able to make this go away and have a substantially larger workspace area without taking space on my desk, getting space back on my desk.
Yep.
I mean, that's very compelling. Now, for me to be super happy about this, third-party online chat tools wow, isn't that funny? We use Zoom every day, and all of a sudden I had to click on the app and look in the corner of my screen to remember what it's called. To be able to use Zoom without having a camera in front of me and appear to you as just like this, that's kind of a really cool idea. Now, how long before third-party app developers can take advantage of that? Because at launch, it's just a FaceTime thing.
Right.
Yeah, right. I imagined, multiple virtual desktops, and I read that that's not going to happen, at least right out of the box, because I could see someone crushing their Mac by having everything running. Like, I'm editing my podcast over here, and I'm watching this movie over there, and I'm writing the blog post over here, and you could easily start disintegrating everything. But I just imagine being in a hotel room when I travel and being able, instead of being in this poor little shabby hotel room, sitting there with all my stuff and being able to edit and do everything that I do at home with multiple monitors. I think that's great.
Yeah, things like they're saying you use your the Vision OS apps alongside your Mac. With that virtual display enabled, you'll be able to use the Vision OS apps right alongside your virtual Mac screen. So, example, you can work on a Final Cut Pro project and then have an enormous Mac display while also viewing and interacting with separate screens, displaying Vision OS apps like photos, notes, files, and so on. Which that I think is going to be pretty interesting to see how that works. So really giving you some productivity increases right there. Being able to do things like that, because you know how we do it now. Got to have a second monitor or something, or you have the 34-inch curve like you have. I have a 32-inch here on my desk here, and granted that this display is really nice and big, but it's moving it in positions, and the way the windows move on Mac and all that. It's going to be interesting. Connecting Mac accessories, the Vision Pro is going to have a virtual keyboard for spatial computing sessions. But you'll also be able to wirelessly connect Mac accessories to the Vision Pro, including the Magic Keyboard and Magic Trackpad, which is, I don't know, how am I going to do like this? You're like looking at the Vision Pro and you're typing away here, right?
Well, okay, here's how I visualize that. And, I see what I just did there. Okay, anyhow, because the Vision Pro has the camera so you can see your area around you, it should, at least in theory, work just as if you didn't have the Vision Pro on. So you've got all your stuff in front of you, and the cameras are letting you see your actual hands and your keyboard out wherever you have those sitting.
Right.
So it ought to feel like that. But if I've got stuff like wrapped around me and I need to type in multiple things, and I spin all the way around in my chair, which is something you could potentially do, and I've lost my keyboard.
Absolutely. Couple things that you won't probably likely be able to do is being able to arrange Mac apps in the virtual space, creating multiple virtual displays. So you won't be able to make multiple displays all at once there. And no surprise at all, you will not be able to connect this to an Intel Mac. You have to have a silicon-based Mac in order for this to work. That makes total sense. It's old architecture. Why does Apple want to support that? And so there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening here. We got a couple of weeks away, and we'll follow the news and find out. We want to get. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of content creators going to be doing lots of demos. I know it. They're going to tell us all about it. So we'll like everybody else, we'll be finding more about it soon here. So it's going to be just interesting. We have to sit on the sidelines here just because of budget, but hey, it's fine with me. We can enjoy it with other people that are going to be able to.
They're not going to send free copies to tech podcasters. I mean, is this how it's going?
I think someone like iGSteen and MKBHD is probably no problem. But some small podcaster like me, no, I don't think so.
It's disappointing because you'd think they'd know who you are and the value in getting a Vision Pro in your hands early.
Yeah, you would think, but no, not me. But maybe our friends like Dave Hamilton, who knows? Chuck Joyner might even get one. We don't know, but we'll find out. So, we'll see where it goes. That's for sure. So, CES 2024. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it this year as much as I wanted to, but I lived vicariously through all of our friends, Chuck Joyner, Dave Hamilton, Allison Sheridan, Pilot Pete, all were there, and I got to kind of virtually hang out with them via text to see how things were going throughout the week, and sounds like there was some good productive stuff. I do have some of the press releases, and we'll be talking about it in future shows, like PepCom and Showstoppers. That's the media events, as well as CES Unveiled. Those all happened Sunday and Monday of this past week, and some good stuff. And there was a fair amount of announcements and such. But I've got some links in the show notes of some of the things that were out there. First off, I asked you, Jeff, did either one of you get to follow anything that was announced this week? And that's something that just caught your eye? Let's start with you, Jeff.
Oh, wait, which one of us is starting?
Jeff.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure I didn't walk over you, Jill. I would feel really bad if I did that. Okay, so I've been following some of what's going on. Excuse me. One of the things that really stood out to me, first, everything had AI because, of course.
Yep.
But products that stood out to me, there's the LG transparent television, and the Rabbit R1, which is it's a little handheld device that's like your AI assistant. And it's different from the Humane, the one that's like a Star Trek communicator on your chest.
Yep.
In that it does more than respond with information for you. It can actually take action for you. So,
yep.
An example would be you go to you want to go to Las Vegas, and so you ask your R1 to find your flights to Vegas, and then it can go a step farther. And once it's found what you want, and it's the flight that you want, then it can actually go through the booking process, and it'll know how to interact with a lot of interfaces out of the box, but it can learn other interfaces. So if there's specific services that you use that it doesn't understand how to work through the interface, it'll learn that. So it's a fascinating product that I think will be relatively short-lived, because I'm pretty sure the end goal for the company is to get bought. And so they're showing up with some really cool technology and this product that goes on sale in a couple months. And the product is basically, here's our proof of concept of how cool our company and our technology is. How much do you want to pay to buy us?
Yep.
I'm totally speculating here, but
of course. That's
anyhow,
CS is it's future products, and rare you could see something get released right away. Anything catch your eye, Jill?
Well, first of all, that transparent TV is amazing. Yeah. I just bought a brand new LG TV, and they were talking about how much the new ones are going to be brighter. And I already think mine is blindingly bright. So I'm thinking this is too bright, but okay, you probably can turn it down. But I got into some of the other things, like the camper that LG made. They made a camper that is entirely smart. And I thought, I never wanted anything more. And then so there were some bird watching binoculars.
Oh, I saw that.
Cool.
Yeah, I know that could do AI and tell you what you have. I mean, that's, I think, where I'm excited about technology, is helping you do do things better. I don't need a bigger TV. I don't need a Roomba that, talks to me and reads me my Audible books. I just need, I'm more interested in that innovation and, like the camper and the binoculars. And yeah, so I'm excited about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of some of the notable things we'll just talk about, kind of run through some of these here. DJI did come up with a impressive drone, and it was extremely expensive. It's a mere $42,000. Well, it'll go over. It's 66 pounds, and it goes over 25 miles on a single battery. But that costs us a little.
Wait, how many?
It says 25 miles on a single battery.
Okay.
And it weighs 66 pounds. And it's $42,000. So this could be aimed towards maybe delivery businesses, that kind of thing, maybe possible. We know Apple was very adamant against promoting the fact of using the AirTag for your dog, and then a lot of people were putting the dog on their dog chain on their collar with the AirTag. Well, you have a company here that actually is coming out with an actual a Catalyst. Actually, it is. We've talked about their products on the show before. They have a dog collar that's actually a collar with the AirTag built right into it. Goes around the dog so the dog can't get to it or chew on it, and that was always the big problem because it would dangle, and then they'd find it to want to grab it. So that was interesting to see. As they talked about a robot lawnmower that'll actually do the hard work for you. This is by a company called Alper. It's the Horizon U1, and be able to put a lawnmower out there. And I would be surprised you can access it on your iPhone and be able to control it remotely from there and going through that. Other thing that was interesting was Govee. We know Govee makes some great lighting and home kit products. They got AI gaming lights, so they're actually it's going to have Matter support and built-in AI. So algorithms will be able to automatically translate in-game content and create lighting effects to give you that immersive feel. Maybe we need to use that for our podcast, right, Jeff?
I think you need to order 2 right now.
Yes, we got to order those. It's a gaming sync box. I have a lot of
Govee things in this house. Yeah. So I was excited to see them there. And I have their previous lights like that. And I'm excited about what Govee brought.
Yeah. Belkin, actually, believe it or not, we know Belkin, they make some pretty decent products, but some of their stuff is, so in some cases. But they have a new auto tracking iPhone stand. Uses MagSafe technology to actually stick to the back of the iPhone and has a 360-degree movement that tracks and a 90-degree motorized lift to keep you in the frame. So no matter where you move, it's good for content creators. Being able to, we're all using their iPhones these days, holding on to it. And I always see these TikTok videos and the camera as I'm moving up and down and going crazy. That this might be an interesting see where this is when it comes to that. Samsung is going to have a line of actual game controllers. Samsung game controllers? I've never heard those two names in one sentence.
Samsung makes everything else in the world already.
It's crazy.
So game controls.
A device that's actually going to let you be able to perform at-home health checkups. It's the Witherings Beam O, which is a single device that serves as a thermometer, electrocardiogram, oximeter, and stethoscope. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes.
That's another product that I think looks really cool. I mean, it's very Star Trek. Very much so.
Of course, Victrola. We knew that brand that got bought many years ago. That was the old brand of turntables in the old days. They revitalized that brand name a number of years ago here. They have a turntable now that you'll actually be able to stream vinyl to virtually any device. I've got one of those. I got a Victrola one, actually, the turntable that's got it's like a case that folds up, and I bought. It does have Bluetooth, so just having Bluetooth for who would have thought with a vinyl record and being able to play it on Bluetooth. All we had to go through over the years with a turntable, plugging it into your preamp that's in your amp and to your receiver, and be able to play the album. But you don't even need that anymore. Everybody is loving vinyl. Vinyl has made such a comeback.
My 80s collection of remixes are about to hit mainstream again.
Nice. How did I miss out on seeing the little countertop beer machine where it brews the beer for you? I just saw that.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I need this.
So they're really going to call. Yeah. So yeah, so there's that's just notably some of the other things that caught my eye with CES. There was just a couple others here I'd like to hit here, including there was a what was it? I thought there was a new HomeKit issue product here. Let me see. Where I had that like here.
That new lock. There was a new lock that did a lot of HomeKit.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. That.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, what I thought, I was wrong. So I'll just keep my mouth shut.
No, it's okay. So let me see. There's like I said, just so many different products here that was out there. So, but let's look at what the trend was. Really, what the trend is: AI, clouds, everything. That's the biggest trend, and we knew that going into this show that AI was going to be the biggest discussion of all. We talked about AI last week. If you heard our show about ChatGPT and AI, and yeah, including algorithm, machine learning, automation, all is going to be marketed for AI powered products. It's just crazy. I can't even keep up how much stuff is going to be here. As well as Jill, you were talking about, you have the Meta Quest device. The VR, AR, and XR is going to be prepping for another big year with mixed reality in the metaverse. That's going to be a crazy thing as well. And then we just talked about the transparent TVs and TVs in general. 100-inch TVs. That's crazy to even think about the 100-inch TVs. I mean, I've got 98-inch TVs and where I have at work I manage. So those, when we got those, that was amazing, but those are still pretty big, heavy sized TVs, but they're
giant.
They're getting thinner and smaller.
I bought the 48-inch because I was worried they're getting so large they're going to stop chopping off the little ones. I thought better get it before it's gone. But yeah, a lot of things. I saw a lot of security things though, that kind of Roombas that have cameras and microphones and I thought, oh boy, now this everything's just going to spy on you. Your refrigerator is going to give you ads. Your washer is going to, oh gosh, it's going to be spyware everywhere.
Yeah.
That is not the dystopian future I was looking forward to.
No. Another notable product, Sennheiser. Sennheiser has a new pair of wireless earbuds that features heart rate and body temperature sensors. They launched several new wire-free products from their headphone options. It's called the Momentum Sport earbuds, and they're fitness optimized, but they'll also feature a heart rate sensor and body temperature sensor. Can provide you real-time biometric feedback, and the data can be in the Health app, of course, on an Apple device, on your iPhone. So that was one notable thing. So yeah, looks like Sennheiser just released a bunch of new products that are very similar to what that feature. They have another one called the Adaptive ANC, which is it's got more advanced tuning system, upgraded battery system, allowing the earbuds to last about 7.5 hours before needing to charge. Wow. But these are going to be also very expensive. That product is going to be around $300. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where that goes. Scosche came out with their new Qi 2 is the new thing with the charging system. I've had one of these base links. I have one of the older ones. This is the new version. It's the Baselink 2.0 modular charging system. It's offering the Qi 2 charging standard. There's a MagSafe version that launched earlier this year. But this new model is going to be available with it's going to be directly from Scosche in the spring here. It's a multi-component charging system that has modules that you would unattach. This one looks so much slicker. The one I have just seems so old. So, but at the time when I brought it, it was pretty cool. But yeah, Scosche makes some cool stuff. That's for sure. some of the other mobile accessories that were released. I think there was like we talked about the Belkin. There was some cases. Hyperjuice came out with a 10,000 milliamp Qi 2 charging bank. They saw that. So did Anker. Anker has a 6.6 kilowatt MagSafe power bank. So you're seeing even more. And Mophie came out with their juice pack. I would love the juice pack. When it first came out, that was the first thing I always had on my iPhone. I remember it had that big giant case. I had to slide the iPhone into it, and you had the little piece that had to pop right into it to lock in place. That was my Mophie juice pack. I loved having that.
I remember the juice pack now.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, so Mophie has come back. So Mophie had since been bought out by Zag. So they're a bigger company now, but this is awesome that they brought the juice pack back. I always loved that. Back in those days, those older iPhones, the battery life was so bad.
Yeah,
and you had to have it. I mean, yeah, as soon as the battery's like, oh, let me flip the switch, boop, boop, to get the to get the battery to work. Yeah, there's just a lot of other stuff. OtterBox came out with some new cases. Of course, we talked about this last week, the Clicks Creative Keyboard. I'm gonna have to ask. We plan to having Chuck join her on the show next week. Everything works out in the schedule. I'm hoping he was able to see this Clicks Creative Creator Keyboard, which was the making your iPhone look like a BlackBerry with the physical keyboard, which I think is still crazy. So, and my God, they're charging $159 for that case, which I think is just absolutely crazy. So it just seems like there was a lot of cool stuff that was announced, and I'm just very impressed to see what this. I'm going to see if there's a couple other items here. The locks, the HomeKit locks were a big thing. You talked about the Robo vacuums. Roborock was going to support Matter. It's got it's just endless. I think we could go on here.
And the first Thunderbolt 5 devices, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, actually, yeah. In fact, I remember actually from our texting from our crew, there was a dock that was announced by here it is. It was the J5 Create. They have a new Thunderbolt dock. But the only problem is with the fact that it's got Thunderbolt 5. The Thunderbolt 5 standard hasn't been ratified yet. It still has to be approved. So I think it's the earliest it would be approved would be April. But you can imagine how expensive those stocks are going to be too.
Oh, yeah.
Probably about
should buy one to go with your Vision Pro. Yeah,
exactly. Our friends at OWC, they came out with some new stuff, including the OWC Thunderbolt X8 SSDs boasting 8 NVMe 2242 modules, and you could have one up to 32 terabytes in solid state. That'll set you back starting at $1,749. Goes along with your Vision Pro too.
Yeah.
The cases on those drives, though, it's pretty cool. It looks like you're buying a giant heat sink, which I guess really you are. It just has storage.
I bought the
inside.
new one. This was I think the S3. Well, I forgot the model. This one, I have it on camera here. Remember, I showed you this. This is the new drive. This is their new OWC. This one is more reasonably priced. So what I'm showing is this product. It's got this thing is solid. And I have a 2 terabyte SSD in here now. So, or no, it's 1 terabyte. 2 terabyte NVMEs are kind of expensive. This thing is super solid, and it's insanely fast too. I think you can get about anywhere between 1,500 and 2,500 megabytes a second speeds. So the technology has really changed immensely when it comes to these drives for that. So, and it hooks up nicely to your iPad too, so you can do that too. So
nice.
But yeah, there's just a lot of great stuff that was out there. We could keep going, but it'll probably be about 2 hours all by itself talking about this stuff. Like I said, I'm hoping to get Chuck on the show next week, and like to hear his thoughts on where the show went from him. We'll see if we get him on and be able to talk more about CES, and we'll be talking more about CES probably over the next few weeks. So we could probably keep on going here. So let's go on, and I got some news stories too. There was plenty of news on top of CES and Vision Pro. The lawsuit that was out. Oh gosh, I completely forgot about this lawsuit. This is the BatteryGate settlement payments that's being sent out to iPhone users. It was back in 2020. Apple agreed to pay $500 million to settle a class action lawsuit in the U.S. that accused the company of secretly throttling some iPhones, and payouts are finally going to be going out this week as we record. We submitted a claim. If you remember what it was, this was filed in 2017, shortly after Apple had revealed that they were throttling the maximum performance of some iPhone models with chemically aged batteries when necessary to prevent the devices from unexpectedly shutting down. This happened way back in iOS 10.2.1. And initially, they failed to mention the fact that the change in the updates release notes that they were very lack of transparency and letting everybody know. So I did get an email. I'm getting my whopping $29 for at least one of the phones I was able to prove I had. I mean, I had all of them, so pretty much. So probably could have, because there are some people were getting up to $90, $150, and if they were able to have multiple iPhones. So what do you think of this,
was a
Jeff?
person who had a ticket where my phone would insta shut down, so I could have used some throttling to save my battery from crushing me.
What do you think of this, Jill? I mean, what do you think of this lawsuit?
I get the transparency business, but I think, like I said, I think that they were trying to solve a problem, that the performance got so much better than the older batteries could handle, and the older batteries are probably sitting at some percentage, and they were solving a problem. They weren't trying to take anyone's performance away. So I get it. They didn't say anything, but I kind of think too, I thought it was overdone back in the day.
Yeah. How about you, Jeff?
The only mistake Apple made with this was the transparency thing.
Yep.
And this whole thing was blown way out of proportion and became a opportunistic money grab that ultimately just costs us as consumers, because we will be eating the cost of what Apple is paying out. And this should have never happened. And all it would have taken is for Apple to say up front, hey, this is how we're managing older batteries so that your phone doesn't unexpectedly crash.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. So, gonna be interesting. We'll see. When I get my check, I'll probably show it to everybody.
Awesome.
And we know Chuck Joyner's just shaking his head because I know how much he hates lawsuits when it comes to Apple.
I'm going to sue them for not throttling my phone.
Yeah, there you go.
My phone battery dead all the time.
Let's get that lawsuit going.
Let's do it. So next story, some Apple Music subscribers were experiencing library syncing issues across the iPhone and the Mac. Over the past few months, some users were unable to sync their Apple Music library. I kind of noticed it myself. It was happening at least on my Mac. It seemed to be it was due to a bug. You get an error and it would say Genius results can't be updated right now. An unknown error occurred. I always love those error messages. Unknown error occurred. 18004. These complaints were all over the
number, so they must know something about it.
It must be something, though. So they don't have the reasoning on the underlying cause of what the issue is, but it's not entirely clear if fix will be require software updates. So they haven't have to fix this yet. So Apple still hasn't said anything as of yet. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah,
that's about it. Yeah,
Apple has a bad track record here.
Seems it.
Yeah,
I'm having this problem a lot. I have an iPad mini that I keep in my bedroom, and I was like, why isn't this music on here? Because I have some like nature sounds to listen to. Like, they're all gone. Where'd they go? And I tried everything I could do to get them to sync, and then I saw your article and go, well, there we go.
Yeah.
So, be aware of that for those who are experiencing this issue. That's for sure. And Apple Card that got announced just after we ended the show last week, so I have to, of course, talk about it. We got a pleasant surprise for those of you who have the Apple Card savings account. We got another interest rate increase. So the APY is now at 4.35%. I know, not much, but hey, everything is good. So it just happened to be a notification. In fact, my wife had said something to me. Said, you know what, the interest rate go up on this account instead of 4.35. I said, oh, it must be just an update. I wasn't thinking about it. And then this came up shortly after she said that to me. So this is the second increase they've done for the savings account in as many months. It went from 4.15 to 4.25, and now it's at 4.35. So there's just small increases. But again, this came out. This savings account came out in April of 2023. It's close to a year now, and allows you to earn some pretty good, serious amounts of interest, which is really nice. But of course, we know, as we talked about, that there's quite turmoil right now with Apple and Goldman Sachs. So they're looking to terminate the partnership with the Apple Card. So it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes. What do you think, Jeff? What do you think, Jill?
I think it's great. I mean, I like the Apple Savings account, and
yeah.
I'm debating on using it more. I really just use it for when it accumulates, but I'm starting to think I'm going to throw money into it as compared to my credit union.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been transferring some credit union money in and whatever I can put in there to build up the savings. Because I'm going to actually have to put that the minimum. I don't have minimal amounts of interest now, so that's going to have to be on my taxes this year because I always had minimal amounts in the past. So it's good to see. So, what do you think, Jeff? Any thoughts?
I think this is great, and I love the idea that Apple is aggressively working to add more value to I'll call it their financial service sector.
Yep, for sure. And speaking of the savings account, there's another interesting article here in MacRumors. Here's how the Apple Card new savings rates compared to the alternatives. They put together an actual guide of APYs of some of the other popular high yield savings accounts. Doesn't say what the actual minimum balance, because the good thing about the Apple account is there is no minimum balance. You just build your savings and then you earn it no matter what. So they seem pretty good, pretty much in line, and some of these are at 4.5, 4.65, up to 5 and 5 1/4, which is pretty gosh darn darn for a standard savings account. So we're compared to looking at.
Maybe I'll have enough money in it to buy my next Mac. I don't know.
There you go.
We can live in hope.
Compared to the big banks like Bank of America, who has 0.01 and Chase, 0.01 savings. So,
Right.
So this is good information. So check that out in the show notes. Apple Music Classical is going to be expanding to more countries finally this month. Later this month, it's going to be available in China, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau, starting on January 24th as we record. This was a post actually from Apple on X. Surprisingly, I didn't think Apple was still posting things on there. Apple did launch Apple Music Classical finally after many years of after buying out that other company last March, and offers music subscribers access to this as well, but it still isn't on a Mac, which still I understand. I use the Classical app. Jeff, what do you think on this?
I think this is nice. And at the same time, I don't care. You can bring Apple Music Classical to as many countries as you want, but until you put it on the device where I can get the highest quality audio, I don't care.
There you go.
Give me Apple Music Classical on my Mac or GTFO.
Dang it.
Dang it.
What do you think, Jill?
I'm curious, and maybe Jeff knows the answer to it, or you do. Why is there a separate app? I don't understand why this isn't just rolled into music. But I like classical music, and I'm glad to have more of it.
Jeff has a good.
I don't know why it's a separate app. I can speculate, and I think it's because when they bought, I just forgot the name of the company.
It's like Prismatic or something.
I forgot.
Yeah. It was already a separate app.
Oh, okay.
And so I think
They
it
wanted to
was
maintain
probably an easier path to do this. At some point, it may get rolled into their overall music app. But yeah, for now, it's a separate app.
Yep.
But it's
other
nice.
stories.
I love the selection.
Okay.
It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, too bad I can't use it on my Mac.
Grr. Couple more stories here. Al Gore and James Bell are going to have to retire from the Apple's board of directors, and Dr. Wanda Austin is going to join. Both of those gentlemen are over the age of 75, and I guess there is a rule on the board of directors so that anybody over that age has to step down and retire. They've obviously been great for Apple's. Al Gore especially been helping with Apple on the board for a long time. According to Apple, this Dr. Austin has bringing decades of science and technology experience to their role. She has a track record of advancing innovation and shaping corporate strategy. It's good to have somebody like that to look out for Apple's best interest. It was quoted as saying, "I want to spend decades advancing the technology on behalf of humanity, and we're going to be thrilled to welcome her to the Apple's board of directors." This is Tim Cook. And she's an extraordinary leader. Her invaluable experience and expertise will support our mission of leaving the world a better than we can found it. So interesting to see where this goes. Yeah, Al Gore was on the board since 2003. So, and then James Bell was on since 2015. So yeah, Al's been on there for over 21 years. So, it's a good deal. Any thoughts on this?
I didn't know Al Gore was on the board. I didn't know until your article who was on the board. I had no idea. So
okay.
But
I knew
Dr.
Al Gore
Wanda
was on
Austin
it.
sounds great. So
Yeah. Al Gore and James Bell leaving the board. Okay. On one hand, that's sad. On the other hand, Dr. Austin joining the board. That's the big news to me. She is so smart, so capable, and has so much experience. I think what she can bring to Apple's board is if they had to ask someone to leave the board so that she could join, it would have been worth it.
Yeah.
This way they didn't have to. But yeah, that's the really big news for me, getting to see her on the board.
Oh, for sure. Sure. So good to see. One note here, Apple did, this was announced today as we record this, Apple released a Magic Keyboard firmware update with Bluetooth security fix. They released this firmware, it's firmware version 2.0.6 that fixes a Bluetooth-related security vulnerability. An attacker with physical access to the accessory may be able to extract its Bluetooth pairing key and monitor Bluetooth traffic. This is according to a Apple support document. The firmware is going to be available for the various Magic Keyboard models on the Mac, including Magic Keyboard with a numeric keypad, as well as the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. And firmware updates are updated automatically on these types of devices, so you would never know when it does update. You can go into the system preferences, click Bluetooth, and then click the info button next to your keyboard. So be aware of that. I know it's been a long time since I remember that there had been an actual firmware update for peripherals for Apple
that we know of.
Yeah, they just didn't tell us. They're supposed to be transparent, right?
Yeah. So transparent, you didn't even see it.
Yep. One other thing here, and I'm going to leave the last story here, is YouTube discontinues its iMessage mini app for iPhone and iPad users. I didn't even know about this. Yes, the iMessage app is still iMessage App Store is still a thing, although many iOS users had no idea you can download iMessage mini apps, and YouTube was one of them that was integrated into Apple's messaging app. And now it seems like the company has decided to discontinue it. It was confirmed that there was a release on January 10th for this app, and looks like it's going to be going on its wayside. I had no idea this was in here. I don't know if you guys did.
I didn't know about this specific app. Here's the real problem here. I mean, yes, YouTube does not have a solid track record with supporting Apple devices with native apps, but the fact that we have the whole iMessage App Store thing and people don't know it's there, this is a big fail on Apple's part. Apple's goal has been to make the Messages app, the iMessage platform, into a nexus, a go-to place for you for all your communication, and they have failed at that, just straight up. If you ask people where are you interacting with all of these other things, they're going to tell you that they're in Facebook or they're in WhatsApp. They're not in Messages.
Right. No, that's right.
Yep. No, I agree. YouTube's got to do a better job with this kind of stuff. So,
and so does Apple,
and Apple too. All right, last story of the news this week. The ITC wants Apple Watch sales ban reinstated. Apple presents a weak and unconvincing case. The ITC formally opposed Apple's motion for the Apple Watch sales ban to remain paused for the duration of Apple's appeal. A document was filed with the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Federal Circuit Court. The ITC lawyers say that Apple presents a weak and unconvincing case to invoke the extraordinary remedy of a stay pending appeal. And Apple's adding that Apple's arguments amount to little more than an indisputable intricated infringement, requesting permission to continue infringing on the asserted patents. So the court's waiting for responses, and they wait for the ruling until January 15th as we record this. And as we know, they stopped selling Apple Watch 9 and the Ultra 2 because it's infringing on a patent for measuring what was it, to the medical with the medical. Go ahead.
It was the pulse oximeter, wasn't it?
Pulse oximeter, that's it. Yeah, from Masimo. So I mean, Apple said that they're coming out with software updates. I mean, to go around this patent. I mean, nothing's happened yet. So I certainly hope Apple's getting on, or they're going to be in the same boat where the Apple Watch is going to go off the market again. What do you think, Jeff?
I think this whole thing's going to get very interesting.
Yep.
And I've been reading some stuff from patent law experts that is contradicting what the ITC and what Masimo are claiming.
Yep. And
it wouldn't surprise me if Apple has their own experts that are offering up a similar interpretation. And basically, what they're saying is what Masimo is doing in this case, which I'm finding very interesting. They're saying they're acting more like a patent troll.
Yep.
And I find that fascinating because Masimo does make products, and so this is not typically something you would hear together. But right. Here we are. So what they're saying is that what Masimo has done, which is basically the same tactic they used in their previous case with the other company that they sued, they're taking their patent and then essentially reverse engineering the interpretation of the patent to fit the argument that they need to make to try and be successful in court, which isn't necessarily in line with what the patent is actually saying. Right. And so seeing these articles come up recently, now it's making more sense to me why Apple may be reticent to cut a deal with Masimo, and if so, Apple is in a very strong position to be able to really push that argument. Yep. And by strong position, I mean regardless of how legit it may or may not be, they have basically bottomless pockets to fight with.
Yep.
Right.
Your thoughts, Jill?
I read a little bit about the case and how this involves, I think, an employee who used to work for Masimo and then, moved to Apple. And it makes me think about the whole thing of how the tech industry just keeps having people move and where that line is. That I saw like a lot of X or Twitter people went to Threads. At what point are you breaking copyright when you had experience in a area and now you brought your experience somewhere else? So I don't know, but that was the interesting part to me, was the hiring.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I'm definitely going to be watching. I think we all are, because if the Apple Watch goes off the market again, I'd be surprised. I think Apple's going to do something.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if I will be surprised if the ITC argument stands. I think Apple will be able to get the stay, and Apple Watch can stay on the market. I mean, part of the ITC's argument is that Apple hasn't proven that they will be harmed by not being able to sell a product. Right. Okay, by blocking Apple from selling a product like the Apple Watch, something that is popular, by definition, you are harming the company because you are negatively impacting sales.
Right. For sure. So, gonna be interesting. So, with that, wow, we got through a whole hour here of great topics and information and news, and let's go ahead and wrap it up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Mastadon at intouchwithios, at techhangout.social. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. Become a Patreon of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we're live streaming, which we had a lot of great people in the chat today. Cletus and Frank Petrie was in the chat earlier. Great to see you, Frank. It's been a long time. As well as Cletus it was there, and Wither Bucket, which I believe is that's your brother Jill. He's always joined us when you're on the show. Jill's brother. Yep.
He's hoping to get an Apple Pro for his birthday, or Vision Pro.
Well, I hope it comes true. A dream. I hope it comes true. So, but that's great to see everybody in the chat. Thank you all for being here during the live recording here. So that is on our YouTube channel, which is usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, at youtube.com/intouchwithios. We can watch the current and past live streams, as well as listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discuss are flipped into the magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, and Apple Podcasts, as many others. But better yet, go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at Mastodon.cloud. Jill McKinley, thank you so much for being here. What a pleasure having you as always. Where can people find you?
Oh, it's great to see you. You can find me at startwithsmallsteps.com. That's my main podcast, and I just started the 3rd podcast in my giant Small Steps empire, so that's exciting.
Good. Great. Well, great again for being here. And Jeff Gamet, as always, a thrill of having you here. Where can people find you?
Well, as always, thank you for letting me be here. I really have so much fun hanging out with you and with you, Jill, and when Ben's here with Ben. Okay, so where can you find me? I'm Jay Gamet on social media. Mastodon, Instagram, and Threads. That's where I'm active right now. Then for shows on Tuesdays, Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live. Here on Thursdays, because Dave is so gracious to let me join, In Touch with iOS. Then on the British Tech Network on Thursdays, The Big Show. Fridays, The Mac Show. And Brian Chaffin and I record The Context Machine. This week's episode went live right before we started recording this show tonight.
Nice. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it. And thank you for listening. We appreciate you listening and joining us for the show. We enjoy doing it, and we'll talk again soon.